Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Thursday, and all of today's guests, including Farhan, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants just announced their home opener. It will be Friday, September 20th against Seattle. It's at 7. Season ticket packages now on sale. All season ticket packages include access to WHL Live, so you never miss a game, as well as the first 2 home playoff games, plus flexible payment plans available with no additional cost. For more info, email sales@vancouvergiants.com or call 604-4-GIANTS. Lions are 1-1 after that special night Saturday.
Yeah.
At BC Place in Winnipeg on Friday to take on the winless Bombers. And here to talk about that and more, Farhan Lalji from TSN. Farhan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I am still laughing at Dollywall yesterday.
Why?
Well, you know the line. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of which, Henderson, how did Kelsey respond to that? Like that had to be, wow. Like that's infamy. That's not making her famous. That was just like, I could not stop laughing.
She had,
like tears streaming down my face, Rick.
she had coworkers relay it to her, so that was really the cherry on top. Yeah. It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
No, I don't think so. I think it was very subliminal.
Yeah.
Just slightly a layer under.
It happens too often. That sort of thing happens too often for it to be a mistake. I think there's,
you know what? It happens
there.
so often, it could be sponsored. It could be a whole new segment.
Hey, tell that to a salesman. They'll get right on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Fran, we haven't talked to you for a while. Your takeaway from a special weekend at BC Place, the Lions beating the Stampeders, 50 Cent. What'd you think?
Oh, it was a great event, as you'd expect, right? Amar Doman and Dwayne Vanu and the Lions deliver like they always do. And, it's so much so, I talk about the fact that the lower bowl was sold out really at the same time they announced the concert, right? It wasn't about the concert. It was the fact that the marketplace had faith in ownership to deliver another big act. And it wasn't just a big act. It was a really good show. If you were there or if you had a chance to watch elements of it, it was great. The crowd, people are complaining, people left at halftime. Well, I got news for you. More than 50,000 watched the first half. And even at the end, there was still about 35,000 there. So anybody who says, it's inflated or they were there for the concert, who cares? That's the idea, right? We're trying to bring new eyeballs to this with hopes that some of them will come back and watch again. And it was an entertaining game. Maybe it wasn't overly high scoring, but it was well played. There was good game flow, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Except me trying to hit the drum before the game. That wasn't entertaining.
Yeah.
Very weak.
We noticed. Hey, Farhan.
They gave me like a drumstick that was like this. Like, come on.
Farhan, a poor craftsman blames his tools. You have to make the most. You have to make the most of that drumstick. Ask Dollywall.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you tweeted about this, I believe, yesterday. But 41 years ago yesterday, BC Place opened its doors. How do you think it's held up?
Pretty good, right? And only one major reno, and that was what you'd always have at a facility ahead of the Olympics, right? So that was a good one in terms of spacing out the seating, bringing down the capacity, adding the open roof and all of that. So I think it's been great, right? And I think the tweet was in relation to the Sky Dome, and which is now Rogers Center. But it was amazing how quickly that facility became kind of obsolete and outdated, right? And now they've had to do a big reno ahead of this year for baseball, which makes it look somewhat better, but it just kind of became this concrete mausoleum, whereas BC Place has still been an outstanding venue, and people talk about, we want it to be open or we want it to be closed. Well, we had Empire Field for a couple of years, and it was like camping, and we had bad weather, and it reminded everybody that being in a closed environment in this part of the world is probably not a bad thing. So I think it's held up really, really well. I'm looking forward to seeing it during the World Cup, right, when they put grass there and what that looks like. But whenever they've held a big event, whether it be a Grey Cup or the Women's World Cup or all of that, they've hit it out of the park.
Looking at the CFL standings here, your favorite team, Winnipeg, is 0-2.
I knew that was coming.
Your favorite team in the world, the team you work for, Winnipeg, is 0-2. What's going on? Look
at the shirt he's wearing today.
I thought that was Winnipeg right off the top. 0-2. Really? What's going on with your favorite team?
You think this is Winnipeg too, and it's Washington. But they've had injuries, right? Look, number one, they're getting Number two, they're not as hungry, right? Because when you've been in 5 Grey Cups, and you know this, like remember when we got to 2012 with the Canucks, and they hadn't been through 5 Stanley Cup Finals, but you knew that they were only going to be judged by what happened late in the playoffs. And even though they won the President's Trophy that year, it was all about that. And it's so hard as professional athletes to know, especially in the CFL, where it really is a marathon, not a sprint, and it really is about how you finish, right? Because you can get hot even with a 500 record at the right time. So I think all of those things are playing in. But if you go back to the last 4 years and you look at the Bombers, they lead the league in terms of fewest man games lost to injury. And now they had all these guys hurt at the start of training camp. And I think it's affecting them right now. And their offensive line, losing Jamarcus Hardrick and the aging of that line on the inside, and I'm not making an excuse saying that, they're going to get it back. I don't know that they're going to get it back because I think what's happening to them right now is pretty real.
All right, what's happening with the Canucks? Boy, oh boy, July 1st is around the corner. No Dakota Joshua signed, no Nikita Zadorov signed, no Tyler Myers. What's going on there? I mean, people are a little concerned. We talked about 2020, everybody left. I mean, could that happen again here?
Well, first, let's do this. Let's just do Rick Dhaliwal for making sure Phil Hronek got paid over a 7.
Yeah,
because this is like Tyler Myers 5 years ago where he's like, well, it won't be 7. And all of a sudden, Benning quickly signed him to 6. And so Dhaliwal throws out 8 on Hronek, and they signed him to 7.25.
I didn't throw out 8. That was a national broadcaster.
Can you be my agent, please?
Yes.
My next contract. Rick, please. But look, I think we knew that if they were going to get Hronek, they weren't going to get Lindholm, right?
Yes.
I think that's pretty obvious now that that's not going to happen. But it does make me nervous that they're going to lose Dakota Joshua and Nikita Zadorov. And hopefully they're not trying to lowball Tyler Myers too much, knowing that he's willing to take less to stay here. Because the Hronek deal was kind of I think it probably should have been just under 7. He got a little over 7. It wasn't egregiously one direction or the other. It was probably the right number right at the end of it all, right? But you can't overly try to submarine Tyler Myers when you know he's willing to take less because he wants to be here. So hopefully they can get that done. And as far as Zadorov and Joshua, I think they're both eminently valuable to this team. And I have said, if you give me the choice to sign those two versus Hronek, I would have signed those two. Mm-hmm. But you just don't know what those numbers are getting to right now. I think Joshua is a find. They've got him playing his best hockey, and I think this guy can be a 25-goal scorer on the regular. And I think he's a player that is worthy of a top 6 spot in their lineup. He could be that guy. He's got those kinds of physical tools and the size to help everybody free themselves up a little bit. So I would hope they find a way. But can you do both of those and still go out and find a bona fide, pedigreed top 6 winger, which is what they really, really need, right? So that, in my opinion, is a priority above Joshua and Zadorov. And if there's a way to get all 3, then maybe give Alvin the GM of the Year award for next year right now. And, and I know Milstein's got a chance to, as Rick reported earlier, facilitate a trade on Mikheyev. And maybe that's the only way to get all 3 of those things done.
Yeah. Let's stay there, Farhan, and we're talking with Farhan Lalji. You mentioned top 6 winger, so this name's been bandied about, Jake Guentzel. Would signing Jake Guentzel, and remember, you want to keep your center iceman making $11.6 million starting next year. Would signing Guentzel at the expense of losing maybe Joshua, Myers, etc., Zadorov, would that be a smart idea for the Canucks?
Look, I don't know that giving a 7 or an 8 year or 7 year deal to a 30-year-old player is ever smart business. But we do know that Jake Guentzel can perform in this league regardless of who he's playing with, whatever the circumstances are. He's not necessarily the fastest player, but this guy can score. And if you play him alongside Pettersson's not necessarily the fastest player, but needs a dynamic winger there. So do you just say that, look, we'll do this and hope the first 4 years are good and bite the bullet on the last 3? Probably. But look, they need additional scoring help. There's just no way around it. They can't bring back what they've got and expect to all of a sudden have the same level of shooting percentage they did in the first half of the season. They need somebody they know can flat out score, that there's no questions around it. And to be honest, that's the best way you're going to resuscitate Pettersson, right? Because beyond the injury, I'd be nervous with what I saw in the second half of the season. So you got to do everything you can to put him in the right spot to regain his game.
Farhan, thanks for this, my friend.
Guys, if I'm hoping to talk to you next week from overseas, but if not, have a great summer, and we'll talk again. We'll talk again in September.
Rick will
have me.
You're on assignment overseas?
No, I'm just going on vacation with my family. First time I've done taking them on a trip like this. We're going to Europe for 3 weeks, so I'm excited about it.
Oh wow!
You've never taken your family on a trip?
Wow!
Taking them on
and you're still married?
To Europe.
Oh,
not to
okay.
Europe. It's actually my 20th. It's my 20th anniversary. Early next week.
No.
So last year, Mary and I, we were driving my son through the Palouse, Washington into Idaho to take Lucas to football camp. So that's where we celebrated 19. So I promised her then 20 would be better. So I'm trying to deliver.
Keep her happy. Seems like yesterday, Farhan, 20 years. My gosh. Congratulations.
You were there, buddy.
Yes, I was.
Thanks, pal.
Good times.
All right.
Farhan, thanks for this, my friend.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.